Russo. I'm here with Monique from Honeybird and the Birdies. Welcome here in Brooklyn.
Thank you, Joe. So happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome.
Welcome now to the Earth's core. Far from Los Angeles, I speculate.
So, you guys are based in Rome, Italy.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the band. Like, how'd you guys all form? How'd you guys all meet?
Well, none of us are actually from Rome, but we all met in Rome, so I'm the only one not from Italy in the band. I'm from Los Angeles originally, but my he grew up in Rome, so I grew up kind of with the idea of Italy. I always imagined I might go there to live, and then I kind of 13 years ago went there not knowing how long I would stay, and clearly it's been quite some time I've been there now. So when I got there, I was quite alone, and I started writing a lot of songs and poems and sort of wandering around Rome with my guitar, looking for places to play and whatever, and that was in the very beginning. And then in 2007, I met two other kind of Romers that had a lot of musical ideas too, other musicians, which is Paola, who's from Sicily. She's the drummer in our band, and then used to be Gino Bird, who was the old bass player in our band. Now it's Federico, but we kind of shared similar ideas and wanted to create this project. It was really, I guess, in the beginning more kind of me with my quirky songs going, how can this get to more people, and how can I expand on this kind of idea? So I had already chosen the name Honeybird, and then there were kind of these birdies that came in, so it was Honeybird and the Birdies.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice. So it leaves it open for extra guest birdies, like you could be Indie Italy Birdie or Joe Birdie or something that hops on stage and does a percussion thing or whatever, you know. So yeah, it's since 2007 that we've been performing. I mean, our first show I think was October 2007. In the beginning, Paola played like these quirky ethnic percussion things that I had, because she didn't have a drum set at the time. So funny, like we'd play songs in all sorts of languages, all original material, but it was neat. It was fun arranging together, and then little by little we've started to have more of a following, I guess you could say, and it's nice because since the last album came out in October, we've done a lot more touring all around the country, and we've started touring more in Europe. Next year we'll come to the States and perform and stuff. So it's been a good adventure how our band's been kind of growing and establishing. We've been establishing ourselves more and more in Italy, and then trying to expand.
Trash out! Lixo fora! Touchdown! All of our trash dumped in the car disappears.
Looking around, dude, just seeing the city that like truly just inspires the music that you make.
Yeah, no, it's interesting the question, because it's quite different. It's much less of me going there and getting inspired from the surroundings, such that then it comes out in the music. How beautiful is Rome with the Fori Imperiali and Michelangelo or something. It was more kind of me going there and finding more about myself and getting to know myself more, also because I was there and really didn't know where I was in a way. You know, it was kind of like in finding out about the city, I was finding out a lot about myself, which I think is in general something really good about traveling or finding yourself in different situations and even different parts of town. It's kind of very healthy to broaden one's horizons, and that's sort of what happened. So I was spending a lot of time alone, and it really helped me more listen to what I had inside, because in Los Angeles I was working as a recording engineer, and I was listening to other people's music, and I had this voice inside, but I wasn't letting it come out at all. So when I got over there, you know, the lifestyle is very different too, and it's still it's remarkably different than the States. And growing up here, it's very production oriented, you know, like you want to always be very active, and so there's a lot of time that's sort of, in a way, it's time off, or it's time spent differently. There is that, you know, the idea that you spend a lot of time hanging out, which is actually true. You do. I mean, there's a lot of people that work really hard, but there's still a very strong value given to the time with other people. And so it was, I guess, frightening in the beginning, but I started to let all these things come out within me that I hadn't before. So I guess it was inspiring being in a place, in a new place, you know. So I tried to do songs in Italian. I mean, lived there so long, it's very second nature. It's not my mother tongue, but it's as if it was. But my songs tend to be very cheesy in Italian. So what's nice is we've started with the trio, we started writing more and more together. You know, I was telling you in the beginning it was me writing the songs and then we arrange them together. Now it's more a group effort, so we have a couple songs in Italian now, which are quite fun. Yeah, we actually have lots of languages. I love languages. As I was saying before about like breaking down discriminations, there's a lot of discrimination in the world, and I think wars are based upon us not listening to each other and not trying to understand or to accept each other. So the whole idea of using different languages is to go try to communicate always with more and more people. You know, like we have something in Yiddish, for instance, or in Macedonian, or in Japanese, or Arabic.
And that shows in like the style of your music. It's very worldly in a sense. Like it mixes a lot of different cultures.
Yeah, because it's really honest. You know, it's very something that comes. We have this idea or something, and just run with it. There's not that sort of what's it sound like, or is someone gonna like it or not? It's like, it's all good, you know, and it's like in a live show, if you don't like one song, maybe the next song you'll be really into. I try to learn the phrase "Don't trust the butcher" in all sorts of languages, because we have a song called "Don't Trust the Butcher," and so like in Macedonia it's "Nemu veru fai na casa pot," for instance. And I always try to learn like at least a phrase or something. But traveling in Italy too, I mean, there's a lot of so many dialects and different. I mean, like that's Neapolitan, no? So you have that dialect, which is quite different than classical sort of Dante Italian, you know. So I mean, we have a song in Sicilian, for instance, in Catanese. Our drummer's from Sicily, from Catania, and one of our songs called Caiafari. So that's great, because we go down to Sicily and everyone's like, whoa, they're singing in Sicilian. So once I think an article came out, like a review of the album, that said a band that actually can sing in English, that chooses not to only sing in English. And it was funny, because a lot of times Italian bands will sing in English because that's the language where the music that maybe sells the most, or that kind of warped idea that you have to sing in English, or that it will only be accepted in English. And I think that's totally not true, because I think there's a lot of bands that make interesting music in different languages, and music itself is a language. So I think it's not based on the language if music is communicative or not, or expressive or not, you know. So I like the idea that you search with different instruments like the charango, and you search with different languages too, and it's all kind of in this beautiful ball of expressivity.
Oh, 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 swimming in the water. Daddy's gonna eye me, oh my. Just a shot that might catch my eye. Oh, oh, oh.
Your performances, you guys just have like a lot of energy on stage, just like dancing around. I think it was on your Facebook you mentioned, you know, we all sing, we all dance.
Yeah.
It's a very like feel good experience, I think, when you guys play.
I mean, per forza, as you say in Italian, like, I've always been an optimist. I mean, it's like, I think that's the only way to approach life, to laugh at oneself and to be optimistic, because otherwise it's too easy to be depressed. I mean, you know, it's kind of, life's hard and there's always curveballs thrown, and it's like, I found music has always been, for me, a way. It's been like, if you want, the light that's kind of led me through a million other places I could have gone, bad places, good places, just more bad places. It's like saved me. I mean, throughout high school, throughout college, throughout everything, music's always been, whether it's listening to music or playing music, or, I mean, I think music is a sort of therapy. I mean, it does us good as a society, so maybe some cultures or some governments realize that more than other ones, you know, in terms of the importance that music has in our society. But what's nice with the other two birdies is we all share that thought that music cures, music heals, music saves, music, whatever you want to put next to it as a verb. Music is a beautiful thing that can lift us up, and does. And so it's not that all our songs are necessarily happy, but they definitely have an element of we enjoy doing it. I mean, on stage, I love being on stage, and the more I'm on stage, the more I love it. Like, the more I feel at ease, and it's very natural thing, you know. It's very, and it's really what's that word, like invigorating, you know. It's really like, wow, cool. And even if we play that, we never played exactly the same set, but I mean our set list has been based on our album that came out in October, so it's similar, but there's always this subtleness and these, depending on who's in front of you, the audience, I mean there's so many different things that change night by night. So what creates that is, I think, the playing together and sharing that optimism, and also people want to not just want to feel good, but have like hope, or share moments, share like sort of a ritual, you know, share kind of the energy that music, or that just being in an atmosphere where you can, it's very uninhibited. You can dance, you can sing, you can yell, you're there, and it's
Sure.
it's very open and like a living space.
How long is the subway ride from Brooklyn to the Lower East Side? How long is the subway ride from Brooklyn to the Lower East Side?
And do you feel that in like the large shows that you guys play, or like the smaller shows? Do you still feel that energy equally between those two?
I wouldn't say equally, but there's definitely energy in both both of those situations. I mean, in a smaller atmosphere, you can vibe off the person
Sure.
really closely. Depends. Sometimes we'll vary our set list also based on where we are. I mean, if it's a really big, like stadium or concert hall or whatever, maybe we'll do. Not necessarily though. We try not to adjust it too much because, if the music, like I was saying, if there's expressiveness to it, I think it reaches the people. So, yeah. I mean, we have about an hour and a half of set that we do, and both on big and small stages we try to give it the same energy and the same enthusiasm, you know, and not to vary it too much, because you can kind of sense if someone's trying to be like in a way that's not natural. So it's nice. I mean, it's very natural what we do, I think. So
Hey, Mr. Potkey, have you ever been to the East Village?
Hey, Mr. Potkey, stick up on a tree. It goes over the bagels, they cook it over young. Don't hop me and chime in. You know your mind's about soup is getting really, really cold. Cook up on your mind, you're making me for Clem. Oy vey mir, oy.
Do you see the difference in if you were to play in LA, where you're from, or in Rome? Is there a difference in like the venue that you're playing, or a different energy that you feel between the U.S. cities that you're playing, or the Italian cities that you're playing?
I mean, certainly the difference that people can understand that someone's in English makes a big difference.
It
Because
does,
sometimes there'll be funny things or sad things that people won't understand. That's why a lot of times songs in different languages I'll just describe, or I'll explain in the language where we are, like in Italian, or recently we went to Spain, I described them in Spanish, or we went to France, I described them in French. Like, try to make sure that if the lyric is in something, like if the lyric's an important part of the song, which maybe it's not always an important part of the song, then I try to describe it. Like we have a song about genocide, about this massacre in the Dominican Republic in 1937. I try to make sure that that's that concept, like to describe that before doing the song. So, but in terms of people's energies or people in different countries, like a lot of times people ask that about Italy, like, so what's it like outside of Italy? Are the audiences so much better because you're somewhere else? No, the audience is not so much better. I mean, I think we're all kind of one people in a way. We're brothers and sisters all around the music, and to be excited or to be stimulated, you know. So I don't see any major differences between like audiences in the States or in Italy. I mean, there's that love of music that's kind of universal, you know?
Sure.
I found my dear wallet. It's my wallet, I found my dear wallet.
And you guys had a Kickstarter.
Yeah, we did.
Which India they supported years ago.
Yeah,
We just
thank
found
you.
out. Yeah, like.
Woohoo! Grazie,
yeah.
grazie mille. Yeah, di Italy.
And you were the first band that used Kickstarter in Italy.
Yeah,
one of the first.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, just coming from Italy and starting all that?
I mean, it was hard because it's something that apart from it hadn't been done, like the idea of crowdfunding hadn't come over to Italy, whereas here it had already been active for a while, and so that's what we kind of looked over here. We had someone who was going to fund the album that pulled out after we had already planned everything, so we said, well, how can what can we do? And we decided to just throw ourselves in this thing, not knowing at all if anybody in Italy would respond.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a lot of people that were confused. Even the thought of paying for something online is still sort of looked at in a weird way, not by everyone, but I mean, whereas here someone has maybe their Amazon account and they just buy something, that's not like that over there as much. So there was a lot of apprehensiveness, a lot of phone calls saying, so aside from Kickstarters in English, so we tried to make it everything described also in Italian on ours to describe how to do it, but there were tons of calls. Even friends like our age and stuff saying, okay, I'm on the website now. It says to pay. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Like, how do I do? You know, like
It was weird, yeah.
it was weird. A lot of people like saying, well, what, like the rewards and stuff, trying to understand what it was like and why. But we did that video in the beginning that was in Italian and in English.
Mhm.
That was in Rome on this beautiful terrace, and we spent a lot of time to try to make sure that was clear what we were doing. I mean, it was very much like, this is what we need to make the album, and you know how it works with the crowdfunding. If you don't make that amount, then no money changes hands or anything. So it was beautiful. There's 150 people, one being Indie Italy, that contributed. So it's nice because then it created this sort of responsibility to these people. So even the moments that were maybe harder or whatever, it's like we have to do this because it's not us on our own. It's also these 150 people, and we had a good time. It was very intense as an experience because all the rewards and stuff took tons of energy and time, but it was a beautiful experience.
That's awesome.
Co-producer, thank you, Andrew Small. Andrew Small. Co-producer, you made our album happen. 18 days, it's gonna be coming out.
Like the pioneers of, you know, starting the
Yeah.
Kickstarters. Do you see a change in the artists using Kickstarter within Italy? Do you see a lot of like the bands that you play with using that source of the internet to kind of get some funding for recordings and shows and all that?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there's actually been a new website, a new crowdfunding website that started called Music Raiser,
Mhm.
and that's been doing pretty well, and it's all in Italian, so it's easier kind of for people to follow, and quite a few bands have been doing it. You know, there's scandals are often happen in Italy, and it's kind of, you open the paper and it's strange if you don't see some sort of scandal. So there's been kind of talk about people misusing it, and unfortunately sometimes people tend to talk a lot, and like there's a song by Jane's Addiction that says no talking man, all action. And that's sometimes not what's done there, and it's kind of the opposite, and there's a lot of talking and no action. So people criticize a lot, and there's been a lot of criticism towards certain crowdfunding campaigns, and I think sometimes it's unjustified, but there's been bands using it. We recently had a friend's band called La Pingra. They're really cool out of Rome, and they used it, and they successfully managed to do to fund their album and stuff using the Music Raiser, which is like Kickstarter Italian style. So yeah, I'm happy that it's taken off and that people have started to get more open to using it as a to make more music, which is always good, you know.
When I go to, I would like to eat a toasted bagel with cream cheese and lox. I think I never tried lox.
What do you think the future of underground artists, indie music, all in Italy, where do you think the future of all it's going to go?
Hopefully it'll keep, you know, kicking ass and like
To New York,
forward.
where we are in Brooklyn.
To New
yeah.
York, yeah. I mean, not only to New York and then artists from New York to Italy. I mean, it's what I'd really like is for the Italian government to say, hey, there's a music scene that's not opera, that's really cool, that's really expressive, and that has value, because unfortunately Italy, in terms of all the countries in Europe, is the one that has the least amount of funding towards new music. It's really embarrassing, and I'm really it's really frustrating, and the more I live there, the more I discover how sad it is. I mean, I'm a very optimistic person, but the more that our group is growing too, I mean, we've won like some national festivals, and we go and we represent Italy. We've done Spain, we've done Holland, we've done Slovakia and Slovenia and stuff, and there's not only is there not like support, but there's not even like kind of recognition, like on a, it's very unfortunate because we're now to the point where we invest and we can't for eternity. So I hope that changes in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how. I mean, you're here, Ricky Russo here with ICN Radio. I mean, there's a lot of things happening that hopefully will make the government or the cultural ministry or the Italian Institute of Culture realize that there's something else going on in Italy that's new, that's cool, that's people like. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm optimist. I also see a lot of people leaving. I see French bands that go to other places and then do much better for themselves. I mean, it's not to say that it can't be done, but it's hard. It's really, I mean, I don't know. We're based in Italy, and we've been based in Italy for 8 years and stuff, but I'm here now in New York to see, hey, what could we do? Do you think, could we possibly do some stuff over here and just try to expand? Because the way I feel, unfortunately, is that it's to just stay in Italy and stay within the boundaries of Italy. I don't think we could be able to do much more just staying within Italy. Granted, I don't know, I'd like to think that the scene will thrive and that bands will keep doing it and that people will stay interested in what's being done and what's being made, and bands will keep touring. I don't want to be negative, but like this past summer there were a lot less bands on tour, there was a lot less shows, promoters that kind of having a harder time filling the venues, and it's tied in with an economic crisis and stuff, but it's still, music goes beyond anything. I mean, there's always going to be music made, whatever situation we find ourselves in, with or without instruments. I mean, we all have voices and we can sing and express ourselves, so.
Action.
Andiamo al centro della terra, to the earth's core.
I think does it inspire you even more to just push your music, get your music out there, just all over Italy, all over in the States?
It totally does, and I like to think it's contagious too, because
Sure.
a lot of times we'll meet up with bands that they're like, wow, I mean, so many people say to us, hey, you guys are doing so many shows, that's so cool, you guys are everywhere and your thing, and it's like, it's true, but with like con tanta fatica, like it's with we really have to be very dedicated and be like, okay, we're gonna do this show no matter what, and there's 3 people in front of this, we're gonna still do the same show that we would do in front of 7,000 people. Like,
Sure, you see that in your videos online too.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, hopefully, I mean, thanks to your Indie Italy, that's a way that it can get a little bit more attention to what's happening in Italy, and that's really important. I mean, I would love for the Italian Institute of Culture to say, Joe, here's 10,000 euros. We want to support what you're doing because it's important.
Sure.
For
you hear that, people?
Yeah, you hear
right?
that, people. That's right,
Yeah.
everyone. Well, I mean, there's the Kickstarter thing too.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic. There are a lot of bands in Italy that are doing cool things, that are trying things, that are, you know, that are also slowly starting to tour also outside of Italy. But I don't know. I think we can all sort of form a network and try to make it so that more new music can be made, more new albums can be made. I mean, we've got a load of new songs that we're ready with, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
I went to a market to buy a big glazed donut. As a rabbi walked in, my curiosity rose, and I
Where do you feel like the scene is biggest in Italy? Like, is it in Rome, where you guys are from, or do you see, I know Bologna has a good club scene for a lot of the bands. Is there any city, like, what's your favorite venue to play for you
That's
guys?
well, good questions. Bologna is where our label's based, and there's a really good music scene in Bologna for sure. Rome also has a good music scene. Milano also has a good music scene.
Sure.
Torino is really cool. There's a lot happening there, and Sicily also is very vibrant. There's a lot of bands, tons of bands that come popping out of Sicily.
We were talking about the South before, and you said you
Yeah.
just played a show in Naples.
We
too.
did a tour all around the South just in August. Yeah, it was great. It was also the kind of holy season, like, you know, Ferragostos in August, and there was a lot of shows where, for instance, in one of the shows, we had to break our sound check because the Madonna was passing on a little boat going
That's
by,
awesome,
and there was
yeah.
a brass band on the boat, and all these kids, it was like a Fellini movie, all these kids were running down going, Viva Maria! Viva Maria! Like, wow, this is cool. Like, it's cool in a non-religious
just coming from
way.
LA,
It's
I mean,
very
that's-
like,
yeah.
it's very it's fascinating. It
It is,
definitely is. You know, like the processions, and maybe the other two in my group were more used to it, especially Paola's from Sicily. She's used
Yeah.
to that, but I'm not. I'm like, whoa. And then one time we had, because it was, I don't know what the festivity was, but something religious, and there were like fireworks right before we played, and again, like the Madonna passing by. Cool.
That's
Like,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it's neat. I mean, it's really, Italy's a beautiful country, and there's no question about it. Touring there, you're just always like, you're going through Tuscany, you're going through Sicily, you're like along the Adriatic Sea, or you go to Trieste or the Alps. I mean, it's like, it's
Yeah.
a very beautiful country. From what I've heard, how you eat in Italy on tour is much better than in some other places.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
we, like on our rider, it says local specialties, so sometimes we get to try local foods, and I mean, and there's a human element that's divine. I mean, it's really wonderful, and there's a lot of warmth. And as you know, you're Italian American. I mean, there's a lot of warmth
Sure.
to the Italian culture. So there's a lot of beautiful sides to touring there. My favorite venue, you asked. Well, I guess Angelo Mai is my favorite venue right now, which is
Where is that?
it's an occupied space in Rome right now. It's near
Okay.
Termini di Caracalla, and that's where we did a show on the 19th of April with Enrico Gabrielli, who produced our album, and a couple other guests, and there was like 600 people at the show. It's a very cool venue, very nice people, and hopefully you can come
That'd be
check
awesome.
out a
Yeah,
show
yeah.
there. I mean, you know, and all of Indie Italy, we invite
Sure.
everybody to come over. You know, there's lots going on. Don't listen to me. I mean, it's hard over there, but that's just because we're talking about it. But there's lots of good stuff. I mean,
Sure. What's the future for you guys? What you have a few shows coming up in Italy.
yeah, we're
This
going
year?
to there's a festival in Paris that they have invited us to play at. So we have a show in Montmartre on the 18th of October, and that should be cool because there's lots of music all around town. So it'll be our second time playing in Paris, but it should be really nice. And then we have the third album that we're working on, so I don't know when it's going to come out, hopefully in 2014. And let's see, yeah, in Italy we do have an assortment of shows coming up, I think mostly in the north, that come as shows. And then hopefully South by Southwest in March, over here in the States. And
States in Austin, yeah.
yeah, and if we come to Austin, we can't not come through New York, you know, I mean.
Of course.
So
Come to Brooklyn.
come to
Play right
Brooklyn.
here, yeah.
That's right, we're going to play right here at Ricky Russo's backyard in Bay Ridge.
And
Yeah.
the sun's coming out too.
The sun's coming out,
Beautiful
yeah.
breeze. Some
Happening.
good times here. Well, thank you for the interview.
Thank you, Joe, grazie mille.
Prego,
Sei
prego.
fantastico, sei.
And you're gonna play. Can you play a song for us?
Yeah, of course, I
Awesome.
will. It's one of our songs in English. It's not on the album, but it was recorded as one of the songs that might have gone on the album. It might come out as an EP in the future. It's called Peacock Feathers Very Soft. It goes something like this.
All right, take it away.
Thanks. This is for everyone here at Indie Italy. Asshole, he's a funny one. Asshole, he's the one to get along with. Asshole, he's a funny one. Asshole, he's the one to get along with. Why do I get along with an asshole? Does it mean that I'm an asshole myself? I guess it does. 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 Breathe each other's breath. Breathe each other's breath. Now go make a scene, go make a scene, go make a scene. You know what I mean? I said, go make a scene, go make a scene. Asshole, whoa, whoa. Tantrum, whoa, whoa. Tantrum, tantrum. Asshole, he's a funny one. Asshole, he's the one to get along with. Asshole, he's a funny one. Asshole, he's the one to get along with. Why do I get along with an asshole? Does it mean that I'm an asshole myself? I guess it does, 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 guess it does. Tan, stretch, extend, expand. It's a form of ritual and energy. It's the weave, the shakta, the shiva, the mix-up, the shiva manifest. Everything is weaved together. Everything is weaved together. And if we're not together, then we might just be together in another life, in another place, in another time, in another life. And I just don't want to care about the fact that you do not care. Oh, I'm still a cynic. I'm still a cynic. Feel that love is just made to break. Peacock feathers, very soft.
Awesome.
Grazie!